The building, I think, was built in 1951, and it was subdivided off the land Cameron's owned in 1948. It was originally a shoemaker shop, and then the chap bought it, moved the shop to the back, and then he built this building. And the building that was in the back, I gave it to Mason Davis, and he took it to Zavalis because I didn't need it.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to give you an example, when I went up to the City Hall to check it, I owned 1 foot over the white line until I corrected it all. They've expropriated us now that we're 50 by 100.
Okay. Yeah. So who were the neighbors in those days?
Well, it was OK Tire. It was somebody who lived next door, and Mark Franklin's father bought the property and put the old OK Tire next to me, and moved out of the old one. What was the bottle exchange, and that's just been all demolished down. I understand that West Urban's building a big apartment building there, and that's what was there.
Yeah.
But this building is the only one left on the block. Everything's all cleaned out, basically. Yeah.
And what other families were in Willow Point then?
Oh, I don't know the names of them.
No, well, the Sampsons were here.
Well, the Sampsons didn't actually live in Willow Point, but their businesses were in Willow Point. It's what was here.
Yeah.
And then I was in the across the street at the shopping center there, the Willow Point Shopping Center, and I bought it from Doug Lee, and then eventually this piece came up for sale, and I bought it. I've been here maybe about 30 years on this side.
And Sybil Andrews was in Willow Point.
Yes, her and her husband bought that from Elsie McKilligan, and Bob built it. Was sold to the Borgfords, and then the Borgfords sold it to the Sybil, and I think they bought it in the 40s after that. And then she lived there till she passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you knew Sybil?
Well, I knew her and Walter, and he used to he would do the carvings, but I only knew them not so much in the art world. It's more personal that way. If she needed something, we'd go and get it for her. And then she was dealing with Una Langman, and there was always art going to Vancouver back and forth, so she would phone me and I'd come and get it and pick it up, because I'd go to Vancouver every week to go shopping. And then I'd phone Una, and he'd come to Tilsey's auction and pick it all up. So he was doing, this is how her stuff was coming to Vancouver. She would do it here, and I guess I was the delivery man.
What were they like as a couple, Sybil and Walter?
They got along wonderful. Yeah, really. Real English, yes.
Mm-hmm. Did they socialize much with the neighborhood? Or?
Yeah, people went there, but she taught art there. She had a lot of students and people that came there all the time. And he was great for making things out of wood that people got. Yeah. A friend of mine, Mr. Noyes, he knew him as a little kid, and they lived up in the logging camp, and they used to pick her up and take her out there so she could draw. And Walter made him a logging truck, but unfortunately over the years it got lost, because I said, where is it? But the letters that Sybil wrote to her mother survived, and they were trying to find her handwriting, and they borrowed them once, and then they wanted to ask him a second time, and Mr. Noyes says, look, I don't have any children, let them have them. So the museum's got them now.
Okay.
So at least it's all left intact, which was good. Yeah.
Yeah. No, she left about 125 pieces or something to the museum here.
Yeah, I went to City Hall to see that collection on the wall. I was so surprised, all the buildings that was there.
Yeah, she really chronicled Old Campbell River.
Yes, she did. I don't think there was anything of the building that she lived in. She never drew that place. There's no drawings of that at all. Yeah.
No. So a lot of changes in Willow Point?
Oh yes, all the original old houses and everything are gone. And if you eventually get a copy of that old picture from 1951 coming in, it's elongated because the timberlands were in the background. You could only go to Campbell River about 2 miles. And you look at this picture, it has an aerial view, and it's just along the front here, and the rest is all trees. But I don't know how far the timberland lands came. I think it came fairly close. 2 miles was about the limit. You could go from the shore to the back.
Yeah.
So Willow Point was kind of like a little community on its own.
And when did you come here?
1961.
And from where?
Port Alberni.
Okay.
Reg Eaton was going into real estate, and it was an opening at Overweighty, and I worked for Overweighty in Port Alberni, so I got transferred to here. So that's how I came here, and came there.
And so were you born in Port Alberni?
Yeah.
Is that your hometown?
Yeah.
Okay. And so what year would you have been born in?
1941.
41.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how did you like moving here? Was it something that was...
Well, it was like about the same as the town was. There was only 2,000 something people here when you came, and it wasn't very long. And working in Overweighty with the customers, you got to know people quite well. You know, people always talk to you and this type of thing. So, and still that way today in Campbell River. Mm-hmm. Where you go to Vancouver, you don't know a soul.
A little difference in scale.
Yeah, nobody talks to you. No,
No.
that's the difference, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it made a big difference.
So what about Campbell River? What was it like when you first came in 61?
Well, it wasn't very big. You could walk everywhere you needed to go. You know, there wasn't that amount of stores compared to here. There was Overweighty, and it was downtown across from the old post office, which is where Mailman's built now. All that block there, and then there was Safeway and Super Value, and that was the big stores, and that was it. And there was Preston's Five and Dime, where he had that minor bird that everybody had to go see. And of course the Willows Hotel was still going then, before it burnt. The community hall, they've preserved that. That's protected. Same with the Sybil Andrews home type of thing, yeah. That's protected.
So the community hall, Sybil Andrews, and this building would be pretty much the last of
the original buildings that were here. Now they're developing all these apartments and whatnot, so everything's being gone, because just on the corner there was all those cabins that were rented. Well, all that's gone now. It's a great big apartment now. This is what's happened. It's completely changed all along the waterfront. You'd never recognize it, you know. Even the property got so valuable on the waterfront, even the old houses, where they're demolished or torn apart and rebuilt again. So it made a big difference from the original homes that were here. And they weren't very much, because they were built in tough times. Well, like Sybil Morgan's home was built by the McKilligans, and they only built, as he said, when we had a bit of money, we built these rooms, and then we added on. And so many of the homes in Willow Point here, the older ones, were built like that. And when I first came here, if there was a fire at Willow Point, they saved the foundation. It took a while for the fire department to get here.
So what families do you know are still alive that would be from when you came?
Well, a lot of the families that we had here don't live in the Willow Point area. They've moved to other places, and so many of them are elderly, where relatives have taken them to take with them. If their relatives were in Victoria or some other place, they've taken them there. They're not here. There's no real old descendants left of the area here. Pretty well, they're gone. All that area, all that elderly crowd that were here, they're all passed away and gone. And a lot of the buildings are demolished and changed and everything.
Can you remember the names of some of the families that would? You mentioned Adams.
Well, Madam they owned across the street. I can't remember the name of some of the other families that are across the street there.
Jean Loy was here. She looked
Archie
after
Waldroff lived up on the hill. He was one of the early photographers in town here. I know they lived there for a long time, but and then you see this property was owned by the Cameron family, and descendants of it have the Dolphins Resort. And they had crests at one time in town here, and that was quite a bit of acreage and all that being chopped off, all the property there. When I was thinking, Doug Lee had the second-hand store here, and I talked to the real estate people at the time, and they said, Les, that would be a good idea if you're thinking of going into that, and to move into this area, because it's the area that downtown was pretty well all full. All the lots were filled, and Willow Point was still empty. To drive from there to here, there's still a lot of empty land here then. And then as the mill got busy, it started to expand more and more. And then now there's so many people here. These people are starting to build all these apartments. All the trailer parks are gone. All the thing that people lived here. All that land is all being developed all along here.
How was the highway to Courtney?
It hasn't changed. The old highway, the old town, the old highway has never changed. It was the same. Mrs. Cruchet, her husband, drove the steam Loki in Camp 5, and she was telling me that in 1920 to go to Courtney, it was all day, and through Black Creek it was a corduroy road because it was swampy through there, and she said it was a rough drive there and back. That's why the ships, the Union ships and CPR were so active here, because the roads were so bad. And then over a period of time, they improved them.
So you've been in here since 61.
61, yeah.
How has the place changed when we look around? Was this always what it looked like? Did you always just work with like antiques?
Yeah, I did, because I'd go to Vancouver every week, and Tilsey's and Love's auction. You could bring it back and there was nothing here. You got people that were moving to Campbell River with just the bare essentials. So eventually when they got a house in that, they were looking for furniture. So that's where I would find it, is over there. Until now it's caught up. I have a friend that brings a load every few months for me here, but we still get a lot of it privately now, because you've got so many people that are retired or passed away. Were there when I came here, it was a young town, and everybody was just coming here and looking for stuff. The antique world has changed. It's like walking stock exchange. We don't do the big dining suites or the bedroom suites and that type of thing anymore. The young people just don't want it here. So you try and get more smaller stuff. I said to a friend of mine in Vancouver, bring me small. That's what's fitting into the apartment. And plain practical stuff, but wood, not particle board. That's what's happened. Yeah. And so we've been watching it pretty close, what moves, what doesn't move. We've been just swamped with tourists. Not so many local people this time of the year because it's summertime, but the tourists are coming from everywhere. Can't believe it, the stuff that they're buying. I have a friend who brought me those fish floats out, and they go nuts for those things. We're running out, we got to get some more in. Things like that they're looking for. And the small knickknacks and things like that. Surprising what the tourist has really been heavy this year. I think also too the fires in the interior is pushing them to the island. They don't like that. I wouldn't want to be camping up and there's a fire nearby. So far we've been very lucky on the island. What fires we have, they got rid of them pretty quick.
Yeah, tourists would be more interested in small things too, that they
small things that they can take away, and that's what they want. We get a lot of that in. Yeah. And then when we do these estates, the young people don't want the silver, the china, the crystal, that type of stuff. We buy a bit of it, but we have to get rid of it too. But this shows you how the trend is on a lot of things that used to really be hot, like Dalton figurines and that. You can't even move them now. At one time, they'd be $75, $100. Nobody wants them. You know, the new generation doesn't want knickknacks like that. They don't want dinner sets. They don't entertain like that anymore. So the whole era has changed. Yeah. Today, you can sell stuff on the internet so easy. You've got a market. Somebody wants it, they'll come and get it. You know, it's amazing, you know. We sold a dresser last night and put it on the internet, and the people came from Courtney to get it. I was surprised. Well, the price was right. It was $85. Solid maple chest from Vancouver. And Ted's getting some wonderful buys over there because there's so many people moving. Or it's too expensive. You know, he had one estate in Kerrisdale where the nephew and the niece inherited everything, and before they could get their money, the contents of that house had to be cleaned out. It just goes. I'm surprising what some of the stuff he sent over for us, what we're paying for it and turning it over. I could see why the people are buying it. It's so reasonable. And you can't get it for that today. And look at the price of wood, so it makes a difference. You know.
You're putting things outside because it's still a visual cue for people.
It's visual. People see it from the car, and you arrange it just right, yeah. They see it, and they come all the way around into the shopping center, into the parking lot here to see what's going on. Yeah. That's why Bill Longton at Pier Street Trading Bull does the same thing. It just stops the people. They say, oh, there's goodies there. We've got to go, got to be sure to stop. And with me, if they see it, they can drive right into the shopping center and come around, and that's easy. And with the light there, it's easy to get in and out.
So what's your plans? You have any plans?
No, I'll keep going until I can't go. I'm doing it for something to do. I enjoy it. Instead of retiring, I enjoy that. I'm meeting the people and that type of thing. So I'll see how far I can keep going. If I can't, well, that's it.